should start recording, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Chair Washington to do the, to call the meeting to order. And Joe, if you can just also call out the time, that would be awesome. And then I'll get to the agenda here to share.
Okay.
While you're starting that.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. The time is 12:06 p.m. And if Rose, you could do the roll call.
Yes. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna do the roll call, and I appreciate again your patience. So, Commissioner Cuddy-Eye. Commissioner Cuddy-Eye. Commissioner Kabodi-Adikai. Commissioner Kabodi-Adikai. Commissioner or Co-Chair Phillips is trying to get in, so I'll come back to her. Co-Chair Washington.
Present.
And then Commissioner Marks. Commissioner Marks. Hold on, he may be in the lobby. Let me check. No, that's Commissioner Cuddy-Eye's so she's here. And then, oh, there's Commissioner Phillips. She got it. Yay. All right, Commissioner Phillips is also here, Co-Chair Phillips. And then Commissioner Marks. Commissioner Toya.
Commissioner Toya present.
Thank you. Commissioner Weathersby.
Present.
Thank you. And Commissioner Whitehat.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Yellowhair.
Kode.
Kode. Thank you. That means present in Navajo. And then also want to say welcome to the guests we have here. I'm not sure why she doesn't have, I'm sorry, Dee. Yeah, just try to rejoin and see if you can hear audio at that time. Thank you. All right. Back to Commissioner or Co-Chair Washington, sorry. Co-Chair Washington.
I forgot to unmute myself. Okay, we go now to the land acknowledgement, and could we have a volunteer to read that?
This is Commissioner Toya. I will volunteer to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you.
Humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Toya. Public comment. Is there anyone present who would like to make a public comment? If not, then we'll move to the approval of minutes. A motion to approve the minutes would be in order.
Hold on, Joe. I had, I'm really sorry. I pulled up the wrong, this is not the updated agenda, so forgive me, but the other agenda I had said that the November 2nd agenda agenda minutes will be available the next regular meeting. So just wanted to let you know that. So so that's the only change on this agenda.
Okay. So we don't have approval of minutes on the agenda this time. We move now to general business, restoration of the original name for Agassiz Peak. I believe Machias Marks and Michelle So.
Hello, I believe I'm the only one here today.
Okay.
I tried contacting Machias, but I don't think he'll be showing. Maybe he'll show up later, but I have no problem presenting by myself.
Okay.
I've never used Microsoft Teams, so well, let me see if I can share my screen.
Rose, do you have to authorize that in some way from your end, screen sharing?
I think I changed it. Michelle, I don't know if it changed on your side.
Let me see. No. It just says only meeting organizers and presenters can share.
Did you use the meeting link that I shared with you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Normally that will give you permission to come on and be part of that. Let's see here. I'm trying to look at all the options I have. Yeah, when I asked about meeting, slides or anything like that, PowerPoint, I didn't get an answer back, so I just figured that there wasn't going to be any sharing of materials. What you can do, if you don't mind, is maybe send it to me.
Okay, and then I just send it to your email that you.
Yes, and then I'll see if
okay.
I can share from here.
Okay, let me do that real quick.
This is Commissioner Toya. I did look into the share options for myself, and I am capable of sharing. So I'm just letting you know from my end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Commissioner Co-Chair Phillips, I'm not sure if you need to go back out and come back in for you to get audio. And I'm trying to see if Dee was able to do that. So Dee, can you let us know if you can still, if you're able to hear? I don't know if I see her on here yet.
I just admitted her from the waiting room.
Okay, thank you. Dee, can you confirm that you can hear us now?
I can hear you just a little bit. I'm really trying. Thank you.
Okay, can you, maybe there's a volume on your side?
It's all the way up. I don't know what's wrong.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I apologize.
Okay. One of our commissioners is having some audio trouble as well. Okay, let's see here. Michelle, if you can just maybe start with some introductory background stuff, and I'll go ahead and see. Sometimes our any kind of information like this that's email, it'll go through some sort of security situation. So that might be what's going on. So I don't see I see your email, but I don't have your slides yet.
Okay, I just sent it. So let me know if you received it, but I can go ahead and introduce myself. I'll introduce myself in Navajo, then I'll introduce myself in English. Yat ish Miss Sheila So Yinishiak, Asher Nishle, Chishi Bashichi, my dish Gichi to Chairs Ganazo additionally. Settled Doi De Nasha. Hello everyone, my name is Michelle So. I am originally from Hard Rock, Arizona, but currently I'm living in Tucson, Arizona. I'm a student at the University of Arizona, and I work with Mr. Marks and Machias, and as well as other youth advocates for the rename of Agassiz Peak. And I've done most of my work is like on interviewing elders and youth. So that's one of the reasons why I was here. And I'm still working on the PowerPoint, but I recently sent Rose the updated version. So that's what I will be presenting on today.
Thank you. Commissioner Weathersby, you have your hand up. Is that?
Yes. So I think if Rose, you can go in, if you click on people, and then the 3 ellipses to the right of Michela's name, you can select there and make a presenter as the meeting organizer.
Okay, I'm looking at Michela's 3 dots. Oh, there you go. I was looking at the other 3 dots on the top. Thank you very much. So Michela, I think you're now presenter.
Okay, yeah, I can see it now.
Let me unshare my side.
Okay. Let's see.
And for the record,
Okay, can
Commissioner Marks is here.
you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Okay, let me put this into. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the presentation that the most recent presentation that I put together. It's still being updated, but this is what I've been working on so far. I didn't want to only include my name and as well as other people, but I wanted to also put like the people who have helped contribute to it. So like all the interviews that I have did over the past couple months or even years. So I did this in honor of them as well. So I did renaming Agassiz Peak by Indigenous youth advocates. And then this is a visual representation of all of where Agassiz Peak stands based on that's based on where the other peaks are placed. And then there are also the names in local languages, what other tribes or indigenous communities called Agassiz Peak. And then this is the history behind the name of Agassiz Peak. So this is the person and the reason why we want to change the name of Agassiz. Agassiz Peak was named after a person who has racial beliefs, and those don't stand with what indigenous communities have named Agassiz Peak for. So Agassiz has stated that sexual relations between Blacks and whites were immoral and destructive to the social equality So those values don't particularly match up with what Indigenous communities have for the name of Agassiz Peaks, which are very sacred and ceremonial and have ceremonial purposes. So that's why we want to change the name of Agassiz Peak. And this is also continued, and this is what I've learned from or saw and read on the Covino Forest Service website. So this is what he was named, or what it was named after, and who he was. So the person that was named after. And he's not, from all the background information that we've done, he is not from here, and so we also have that conflict of why is this person named after, why is this mountain named after a person who was never from here or even is buried here? Yeah, so also continuing off of that, why this is an issue for Indigenous communities. Agassiz Peak is named after a biologist who used his studies to legitimize racial beliefs of white superiority. So keeping the name Agassiz Peak deeply affects Indigenous communities as the figure named behind Agassiz Peak. Due to the fact that the peaks are associated with 13 Indigenous nations, the peaks is associated with spiritual deities, ancestors, emergence, ceremonies, climate conduit, and still integral to Indigenous daily practices today. And then these are also another page of the sacred given names for Indigenous by Indigenous tribes. And then this is some of the quotes that I've gotten from Indigenous elders. So people who were in my community or in other surrounding communities, from other tribes. I still have a lot of interviews to break down and to put into these, but this is some of the first ones that we have received. So Dogoslid, which is the Dina name for the peaks, has been a part of our sacred circle of life since the beginning of life for the Dina people. We as Dina utilize sacred plants, water, and minerals from sacred mountains. Our medicine men go up to the mountain to gather ceremony bundles and give offerings to the Dina and give their offerings / thanks for protecting us. And then there has also been stories from the Yavapai Apache, which is that the peaks are one of the sacred places where the earth brushes up against the unseen world. And then another interview from the Hopis, an Hopi elder. To us Hopis, the peaks is a sacred home and resting place for our spiritual beings, Kachina spirits. The Kachinas serve as a guide to the Hopi people. So these prove that not only today, but a long time ago, elders have learned and are continuing to tell the future generations that this is where our people came from. Our emergent stories come from this. Our daily lives come from this. When we need to be healed, or if we need praying, these are the things that we go back to so that we can live in balance and harmony. And then we had also gotten interviews and feedback from youth and supporters, and we have gotten support from all over the countries from people who are doing similar work or who have read up on this. And we've even gone into schools and gotten their feedback, because the youth is the future, and we want to know, we would like them to be a part of this, because this is part of them, and they're going to be the ones to carry it on. So this is why we're doing it. And then these are just the quotes that we have gotten from the youth and supporters, from an 8th grader who says, I support the idea of changing the name of the peaks because the Agassiz Peak was named after a man who was racist. I believe that it is not inappropriate to honor someone who discriminated against people based on their skin color. And then on to the next one, who is from a New York undergrad senior who is non-native. As a non-native Gen Z born and raised in Flagstaff, I support this name change. Representing a history of racism on the peaks is something that Gen Z and members of Flagstaff will not tolerate. the name Agassiz, with its embedded racism, starkly casts a shadow of violence and colonialism on this mountain. So again, getting feedback is very important for us, because we want to, not only do we feel like we're not doing this only for ourselves, but we're doing it for everyone, for all of these 13 other Indigenous communities, and teaching people who come to Flagstaff about what this mountain means to us and what it means to other tribes and what it means to Flagstaff and what it makes to Flagstaff. And then this is our press release. I'm sure a lot of people have already read this, and maybe that's why they're coming to us and being supportive of it. And then I also wanted to give credit to the youth advocators that have started this. So these are the main Flagstaff High School students who were advocates for starting this. Some of them are still in the loop, but we're still trying to carry this on and trying to make it go further. And then this is the closing statement. Agassiz science was used to try to legitimize racist beliefs of white racial superiority. Therefore, naming a peak after him is inappropriate and antagonizes the beliefs and acknowledgments of the Indigenous nations and other communities of color. This creates a culture of racism and colonization that we deem as unacceptable. Keeping the name Agassiz Peak deeply affects Indigenous peoples, as the cultural names of the peaks describe the spiritual healing and power that the mountain withholds. This also creates a culture of racism and colonization that should be deemed unacceptable. Again, so that is it. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Do any of the commissioners have any questions?
I don't think there's a question, but I do want to make sure that it's acknowledged Machias is here to be in support of what Michelle is presenting on. And he's been doing some of the work, so he might have some additional comments. And Michelle, thank you so much. You did a really great job.
Yeah, I would just like to add on to what Michelle is saying, especially in the terms of support across the community, is that over at the university, there are students organizing with each other and coming together and demanding and asking all these student organizations, and as well as NAU itself as an institution, to disassociate themselves from the names given to the peaks, because they understand that it fosters a culture of disrespect and dehumanization. And that's the conclusion they came to when they've heard the stories from the youth themselves. And that's the work they're working towards together. And I think it's a really strong opportunity for this commission to invest in that, especially in the young peoples who understand the value of the peaks and the names that come with the peaks, and truly value the culture that comes by living here in Flagstaff in the arms of the sacred mountain. And again, it wouldn't have started, these conversations wouldn't have started if it weren't for the elders teaching the young peoples and the young peoples questioning, well, couldn't it be different? The world's changing, and we understand that we're the future and we reflect those changes. Why can't we change it right now instead of waiting 20, 30 years for us to get into those positions where we can change it? How come? Why can't we just change it now? And those are the comments I wanted to share from, again, the youth from the university, and as well as elementary students who have voiced their concern about like understanding the importance and the sacredness of this mountain. So again, from the youth, the young peoples, and the elders I've learned, thank you for taking this time out of your day, and as well as giving your energy to this. And again, thank you, Michelle, for the presentation. I'm sorry I was late, but I'm here now, so thank you.
I have a question. Michelle, would you like anything from us? a resolution of support or anything of that nature? Or is this just kind of informational?
Oh, so yeah. I think both would be greatly
Okay.
appreciated. Yeah.
All right. Do we hear, is there a motion regarding the renaming of Agassiz Peak?
I motion. This is Commissioner Marks.
Okay. Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Toya. I would like to second the motion at this time.
Okay. All those,
Aye.
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 any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries.
Co-chair,
Yes.
can you repeat the motion
A,
or Daryl?
the commission, the Indigenous Commission for the City of Flagstaff supports the renaming of Agassiz Peaks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michaela and Machias. We appreciate the presentation.
Thank you as well.
This is Commissioner Toya. If you don't mind, I'd like to just, as an enrolled Hopi member, would like to extend the gratitude and the work that you young Indigenous relatives have done. You both done a good enough job explaining the renaming of Agassiz, and I would like to just, say Usqually for acknowledging our Kachina spirits that is a big part of our culture. And I just wish and pray that everything goes well and that we can continue this education and understanding to our future leaders, which you are. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Co-Chair Washington, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. You know, I'm having problems with the sound system. I'm not sure what the problem is, but this is Commissioner Phillips, and I would really just like to applaud Machias, and I didn't get the other name, but for the presentations and then the work and the advocacy that went into it. And I remember that I was running around trying to get that letter of support from the Navajo Nation government. And so that was accomplished. And so certainly in this day and age, you would think that, we would have progressed towards, investing in the diversification values of what each and every indigenous nations and other countries have contributed towards, and what we're contributing to, what we're continuing to contribute towards. And that's, the honor and the respect and the love that should be extended to all our relatives, in the Lakota Sioux land, which they call it Metakwi Oyasin. That means that, we're all related. We are all related. But unfortunately, even to this day, people choose to look the other way. But all in all, the work that has been done from this level, from this community that we call Flagstaff, from within the state of Arizona. And I want to point this Arizona because in Arizona, that's where the number of hate organizations, it's growing. The membership in those organizations, it's also growing. So I think that this is a major accomplishment to have people begin reevaluating, what some of their perspectives are. So I think that this is a major milestone that has been accomplished. And again, I would like to just say thank you from the bottom of my heart for accomplishing this task. So my question is, what are the next series of steps or protocols that need to be undertaken so that the name is finally given a new name? Thank you.
If I can be supportive of the youth here, what we understand, what they have shared with me, that the understanding is that there's a federal registry. What they're asking for with this letter of support and this resolution that can be presented to them from the commission is that they submit that along with all the documentation that they've gathered. And that's going to be sent off to the federal registry, and we leave it up to the Department of Interior to make the change for this particular peak. And what will most likely happen coming forward after the paperwork is submitted is that somebody may just unilaterally change the name or come back to the community here in Flagstaff and ask questions of the community. Why would we want this name changed, and how does everybody else feel about it? So all of you being aware of it now have an opportunity to help support and get that message out to our community to support our young people in this process of changing the name.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? I do have to Michaela and Matthias. It might be good to ask for the support of the new governor after the beginning of the new year. I think it's very likely that the governor may be supportive of it. Arizona has a new governor that recently elected who takes office in January. So you might want to give that some thought. And I think that there would be some fertile ground there too. I think that the governor might be possibly supportive of this. And we have some hands up. I don't think this was the order, but Commissioner Weathersby, you're on my screen as having your hand up, I believe.
I just wanted to extend my gratitude to Michaela and Matthias for your presentation, but also the leadership role that you are taking on and the conversations that you're being part of and asking, our relatives here to listen, but also to amplify your voices. And so I just wanted to say, Kehat, that I appreciate the work that you've done and the leadership that you are showing. And I'm happy to be part of learning from your end about the naming of our mountains and not even having realized that it wasn't even someone from this area of how it was named. And so I just wanted to say, yeah, appreciate you.
Commissioner Yellowhair, you have your hand up also.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, first off, just like others, I'd like to say, Kehat, thanks for your work that y'all are doing. This is a major deal, and it's really great to see this happening in real time. I used to think in regard to the Redskins name, I was like, oh, well, I hope, someday my grandkids, don't have to grow up in a country where that's a team, but look now, it's not a team anymore. And it literally happened before my son was even born. So, I'd like to thank y'all for your work and convey my deepest appreciation. And also to convey too is, people that live in Flagstaff to be open with how we can help, how we can assist y'all. And because we are hearing just that, y'all have the ability to do it, and we want to support you in that. We don't want to take it over or anything. Like, y'all have the means to, but just we want to support you. So any way that we can help out, things like that. But I am interested. I do have a question. Have y'all? It is great, of course, to have Indigenous support, but have y'all worked with any community partners to get support, maybe potentially outside the Indigenous community? What does that potentially look like?
I'm going to go ahead and help them answer that one just because I know that they're both getting prepared for school. So they've reached out. This is work that they've been doing collectively for the last couple of years. They've not only, like Michelle pointed out in the presentation, reached out to the Agassi family and hosted the Agassi family here in Flagstaff to talk about that, and got their support and letters of support. But they've also been reaching out to other youth in the community that are not Indigenous. And those youth being in college have brought letters of support, which Michelle included in the presentation, from as far as New York. And so there is continued work. I know that they've presented in front of CODA, our fellow sister commission, and got support from them as well. And have had conversations in front of, as Makai has pointed out, other student groups at the university here in Flagstaff, and they're presenting it to ASNAU and other student leadership groups there that are not Indigenous. So I think the work is happening. I want to lean back on us as commissioners to make sure that we're not only just saying, yes, we support you, but that we're also amplifying the work that they're doing and getting other communities that are not Indigenous to be supportive and understanding of what this looks like. We know that the city of Flagstaff a couple of years ago had heard from the original group of youth that Michelle pointed out in the article and the originators of this process. And that's how they went through and looked at what the city of Flagstaff could be doing, and changed the name of Agassi Street. I think it was 2 summers ago in a public process, and got a lot of input from the community, and actually are now honoring a Black resident, a former Black resident of Flagstaff, in that name change of that particular street. So again, I think we as the commission need to help support by getting this out to other people, and helping amplify this message that this young people are bringing to us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Marks. Like Mr. Marks said, my dad, like he said, we're getting these supports from all these student organizations, young peoples who aren't Indigenous, and they're saying that we need to cultivate a atmosphere of respect, not only in the community of Flagstaff, but in surrounding communities as well. And that's why I greatly appreciate what my dad had to say about amplifying our voice and letting everyone know that you're connected to, that this is an issue that matters not only to Indigenous peoples, but to everybody, because this gives us an opportunity from whatever community and wherever our communities we come from, that we get to honor and look up to the right peoples, other than just the peoples that have hurt and harmed the peoples that we come from. So again, it's just to amplify that chance that we have an opportunity here to really make a change that will impact the youth and the peoples that will come after us. And if you can step into that role of sharing your voice and letting people know like, hey, this matters to not only Indigenous peoples, but to everybody, including you, then they recognize like, yeah, this is my community and that mountain doesn't represent me too. I want to change its name. Have that mountain represent somebody of the people. So again, that's up to you. And again, we extend that opportunity for you to stand with us in that way.
I also want to say something again. I think going off of that, most of my work has been coming from Indigenous communities, like going and interviewing elders and youth, and but also making sure that the youth and the elders are aware of what we're doing. So, and not only because I'm Dene, and I'm not only getting this from Dene communities, but I'm also working with other tribes. I've been working with the Hopi Preservation Office. It was very hard to try to get in contact with them and trying to get information of of what their significance is to me. And I totally understand why they withhold their information because it's sacred, but I also am trying to get them to support us too, because at this moment, all of us need to come together and get this to move forward, because we all have sacred meanings and ceremonial purposes and all kinds of interconnectedness to this mountain. That's why we're trying to, or all of us, and as well as I am, trying to get support from non-native or non-Indigenous and Indigenous leaders so that this can move forward and get recognition and get letter of support so that this can move forward.
Thank you, Michaela. Okay.
Co-Chair Washington, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Yes, okay, thank you. So what kind of time frame are we looking at? Is that kind of hard to estimate because we're dealing with a federal entity, but it would be helpful to stipulate some kind of a time frame so that we know what we're dealing with. Definitely support for, I would say that this is a major initiative because work like this is rare. And so to further accommodate, having it going through the process or the protocol, I think, I mean, did we meet the deadline? Are we in a position to try and garner more support? That's what I'm hearing. But when I turned in that support letter, my understanding that was the deadline. So if you could just kind of give us further indication as to what else needs to be done so that we know what we need to do from our end as commissioners from this town, from this community where this is being lifted, and getting it through the process.
Once again, if it's okay to help support the youth in this, they are pulling all of the documentation together right now. They're working to send it out before the end of this month because they want to get it out before there's a change of office. We know that the current Flagstaff mayor had put a letter of support and other items of that nature. And there is still opportunity to, like Machias is saying, to bring more awareness in our community here in Flagstaff. There's still opportunity to bring more letters of support and get that either publicized or submitted in addition to this document, because I don't think the youth imagine that it's going to be a quick turnover process. It is going to be in itself a process, and it will take some time, so that the more that we can collect and pull together, and as Michaela is saying, come together and educate one another's on this topic, but also building that coalition within our tribal communities is important. And I think that that's something we can be doing going forward. But again, restating, the youth are trying to put their documentations together right now to submit as soon as they can before the end of this month.
Okay, so in other words, the packet itself has not been submitted. So I think it was back in June or July, there were some deadlines being talked about. So just, I just need further clarification in terms of where this is at. So thank you for the updates and in terms of the further journey that remains in place, and I guess the ultimate question is working with the community here at the local level. Are we in a position to try and get further support letters from other organizations? Because I've heard it on a couple of occasions, that we're not the only group of people as indigenous nations from this country, but there are, like for example, the black communities, they have forever been dealing with racism and what have you, and I'm sure that there's, and if I remember correctly, there's a local NAACP organization here, and Shimoni may have the answer to that, and it would be nice to get a letter from that organization. So just another thought. Thank you.
Commissioner Whitehat, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Just checking.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I guess to kind of go along with what Commissioner Phillips has mentioned, is there a central location, a website, a social media site where all of this information is located so that we can share it and be advocates in this initiative? Unfortunately or fortunately, a lot of things are done online, and information can get shared quicker when it is available online. So if, for example, as somebody who's not a youth anymore, if I wanted to go to others and to share this history, I have horrible memory. So I wouldn't necessarily feel confident just sharing off what I remember from the presentation earlier. So is there a location somewhere where we can share that information, and where maybe there's already a history of the changes that have been made locally, either in relation specifically to this name or in the larger effort of I guess, decolonizing language and being purposeful in the naming of different places in our area?
To answer that real quick, we did attempt to build a website, but we don't have the capacity. But we do have a social media site that was started in May, and it does need updates. So we will be working towards that, especially with the support that we're getting from more younger people. And I would like to ask from the commission of the chance to help us connect with the NAACP, and as well as a chance to connect with the governor so that we can carry those conversations in those spaces as well. And also to answer what my grandmother Cora was talking about, that when we submit these documents, they're going to go before a council, and with these letters of support, it will help us. It will help us make whatever we're saying in those spaces, whether it be respect, whether it be about this is sacred, whether it be just having the decency of not honoring those horrible figures. Those letters of support will help make our argument even that much more clearer because it's coming from multiple perspectives. And these letters of support we're going to be submitting them in like a bundle so that when we give this bundle to that council, they can look through it all. But we're also going to be continuously collecting those letters of support so that this council knows that like it's not a one-time thing or a one-time movement. It's a thing that actually reflects our community, and our community is saying this constantly. It's not going to change, and it won't. So yes, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Commissioner Whitehead, your hand is still up. Is it, you just did put it down, or do you have something further that you want to comment on?
Sorry, I didn't put it down, but yeah, I guess just further, thank you for sharing the information as well. I'm somebody who definitely is not aware of the history of the name. I definitely didn't understand the reasoning for using the name before. So it's good to know the history of it and to know that there is something going on currently. I guess I just also like to pose a question to everybody else. Is there, I mean, as Machias and Michelle are requesting, you know, they want support from others outside of youth advocates. As, again, somebody who's not a youth, is anybody aware of other either local or Indigenous organizations that are also advocating or are also doing work in addition or on behalf of this name change that we could also maybe connect with, so that, again, we're also sharing in the workload of getting this initiative done, and it's not just put on Machias and Michelle and the group of youth individuals. How can we do something on our part to add additional support by spreading the word?
Commissioner Yellowhair, you have your hand up.
I think a good resource in regard to that for like potential mentorship or where to go with that would be if we could get in contact with her, like Amanda Blackhorse. And so Amanda Blackhorse is Navajo as well, and she's like really been at the forefront of advocacy in regard to name changes regarding the Washington name and also, you know, the Cleveland Indians. And so she's like a massive piece of those two names getting changed. And of course, she's doing groundwork and getting things changed in the local community as well too. But I think, you know, in regard to, I mean, regarding her, you kind of be more hard pressed to find someone with more experience in regard to name changes because it's really what she does. You know, she's a great advocate, and so I think, I don't know, I've never tried to get in contact with her, but I think that could be a phenomenal resource in regard to mentorship and how to go about this, or just in support. You know, to even just to get a letter from her could be very, very beneficial in regard to this movement and things like that. So, just an idea.
Co-Chair Washington,
Yes.
Adam, Councilmember Shimoni is also wanting to ask a question. And then also we probably need to wrap this up in respect to everybody's time.
Okay. Councilmember Shimoni?
Thank you, Co-Chair Washington, and hi everybody. Love the discussion that we're having here. One thing, if it makes sense, I don't, you know, complicating things. Just thinking, you know, there's a package that was being discussed. We could even think about maybe a potential policy of sorts that, you know, helps to ensure that the language that the city uses have more attention it currently does. And you all can help shape how we word that policy and what it is we're trying to target. We could dive into that later, but just want to throw that out there and add it to the conversation that maybe this can also stretch across the city through a policy of sorts around, you know, however we want to frame it. But appreciate the discussion, and it's good to be here with you all. Thank you. Oh, and I'll just say I definitely have a connection to the local NAACP president, Semi Clayton. Wonderful person. Whoever wants to connect with them, just maybe email me and I'll connect us. No problem.
Councilman Shimoni? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon. This is
Yeah.
Commissioner Phillips.
Hi.
Would you alert me, or if some of the commissioners are interested, I would really like to attend one of their meetings at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I think they meet monthly. I attended a bunch of them years ago, but I'll get the information and maybe I'll share it with Rose, or I could share it with you directly, whatever makes sense.
Yeah, you remember one time we had that meeting at that coffee shop, and they had invited
Yes.
me. They had invited me to do a presentation, but something fell through and it never happened. And to this day, I feel bad about it. So
Oh,
I just
no.
wanted to make sure that, you know, their understanding is that I did not bail out on them. I just, you know, we just never properly reconnected. So
Right.
anyway, yeah, but I think that we need to, at some point in time, embrace with them, you know, organizationally as brothers and sisters, and to let them know that, you know, we're here to support one another.
I like that. I think
Yeah.
that they'll be into that as well. Send me an email if you can, or whoever would like to get in touch with him, and I can connect us all in one email with him and get some information for us.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, Rose, we have another item on the agenda. Are you suggesting that we table this to our next meeting, or should we try to proceed with it?
That is really up to you and the commissioners, if they have time to address everything on the agenda, that's fine. We just need to make a decision whether or not to table it or get it done.
Okay. Before Commissioner Whitehat leaves, if she hasn't left already, is your preference to table it or to have us go ahead and deal with that item? It has to do with co-chairs and their terms.
I am flexible either way.
Okay. What is the wish of the body? Do you want to go ahead and take that up or table it?
I think that would be dependent upon, you know, who needs to get back to work, or, you know, if they are flexible with their time, you know, we can go ahead and finish up what's on the agenda, unless somebody objects.
Okay.
Well, we can only do this up to the point where we lose quorum. Other than that, we have to table it. So right now, I don't know, Joe, are you open to this, or?
I
We just
am.
need okay, so there's two right there. We need two more to stay to get this done. Of the voting commissioners. Cheryl, you can stay.
That would be
Okay.
Commissioner Toya and
I can stay as well, just
Okay.
for a few more minutes.
okay. Let's go ahead and
I
proceed.
unfortunately can't stay.
let's go ahead and proceed then. We'll need to decide whether the term should be 1 year or 2 years, and also for nominations and election of I guess both co-chairs are up for re-election. I believe I've served 2 terms, so I believe that I should step down and that there should be at least one other co-chair. And if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Toya has only served 1 term, so she's eligible for serving another term as co-chair. So the 2 things are at least one select.
Joe,
Yes.
or co-chair, right now, Fawn is a commissioner and Commissioner Phillips is a co-chair.
Oh, okay. I thought there was an election on that.
That was the ICF board.
Oh, I'm sorry. But am I Commissioner Toya, am I wrong about that? Did you have that assumption as well?
Well, I know I was reelected as commissioner for a
Yes.
2nd term, but
Okay.
I've never sat in the co-chair position.
Okay. All right. Okay. I was just totally mistaken then.
Yeah, and I am the co-chair for the ICF group. Yes.
Right. Okay. So there and co-chair Phillips, are you yeah, are you asking to be reappointed as co-chair?
Joe, can
Go ahead.
can I, let me clarify a little bit first here.
Okay.
There are 2 commissioners whose terms are ending this month.
I see.
And that is co-chair Phillips and Commissioner Weathersby. They are
Okay.
eligible to reapply, and as well as others from the community are welcome to apply. So as long as there's at least 3 or more applicants, then the council can appoint from the pool. And according to information, usually council members are inclined to reappoint, like reappoint members that have been serving. But it really just depends on whether or not a person reapplies.
Okay. Okay, so it might be unwise to appoint
so this-
someone who may not be reappointed. I'm in
Yes,
that
so
category as well.
let's do B first. Let's consider just the chairs, not people. So do you want to stay at 1 term for the co-chairs, or do you want to extend that to 2 years? So that's the vote right now. It's not on the people, it's the seats.
Okay. Okay. Any thoughts about that from the commission? I'll just throw it out. I think a 2-year term is provides more stability, and I would suggest 2-year terms for the officers. But I'm just throwing that out. Commissioner Weathersby?
I agree with 2 years. And I'm also wondering if there is a possibility that since we are a newer commission, that there is a elect. So then maybe so for 1 year you are a co-chair elect where you have that shadowing time, and then you take on the role of being So it's 2 years, but one of those years is like a co-chair elect, and so then there's that smooth transition with the co-chairs for the commission.
How does that work exactly? So in the second year, I mean, does that really change? If someone is a co-chair, how does that affect the second term? I mean, the second year.
Co-chair Washington.
Yes.
Let me understand this as well. So you mentioned the word stability. I'm sorry, Weathersby, Commissioner Weathersby. She mentioned transition, and I want to throw in the word continuity. So in some cases, I believe that's what happens. You know, so if there's a 2-year term, the first year, you know, everything goes accordingly, and knowing the fact that you know, one or two co-chairs may be stepping down, and the other commissioners don't really know the process, and that's where, you know, they can shadow, you know, what the current co-chairs are doing, so that once the 2-year term ends, then they can pick up where the outgoing chairs have left behind. Am I correct on that, Commissioner Weathersby?
Yes, that would be my understanding, so that there is, like you said, the continuity between the co-chair roles and
Okay.
the incoming.
Yeah.
So I guess the question would be, how would that work with this right now? Because right now, both of the co-chairs that we have currently have served 2 terms already at the 1-year mark. So they have 2 years under their belt. And so since we don't really have a set, since we really don't have a set term for the co-chairs, we either need to see if we can do both at the same time, or just vote for one seat to be a 2-year term. And then leave the other one as a 1-year term, which will become a little bit confusing, I think.
So in other words, Rose, what you're talking about is kind of like staggered terms.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen both of them in practice, and it appears to be workable, you know, whether we do it with what Commissioner Weathersby has mentioned or the staggered terms. I think they're both doable, and it's been done, you know, in the past with other organizations. So I think it's just a matter of deciding, you know, which one we want to adopt.
Any thoughts from the commissioners on that?
Commissioner
Yeah.
Weathersby, my question is, are 2 co-chairs going to be staying in their terms for another 2 years first?
I had mentioned that, and I don't know, is there kind of a Rose, is there kind of a requirement that an officer stay in office for no more than 2 terms?
There's no real, here under who runs the meeting, there's no real formal statement that says that chairs and vice chairs are have to stay, a certain amount of years. It just says that they are normally normally serve a predetermined period of time. For example, 1 or 2 years. That's all it says.
Okay.
So what we can consider, if you want, before going to C is um let's see here. I think if we do decide to do either a staggered term, keep one seat for 1 year and vote to see if we can do 2 years on the other one. And then one of our current commissioners can stay in the 1 year and then elect a new one for the 2 year. That way there's some shadowing done. However, that's really up to you how you want to do that. The only problem I see with it is if for some reason the 2-year person decides to resign in the middle of their term, then we're having to worry about that staggered limitation.
Okay, come up.
Go ahead, Fawn.
Okay, so I'm just listening to all this, and it sounds like well, for one, we might need some more time, and also that way we can further discuss this, because I do like the shadowing, and I also want to be acknowledgeable of some that don't want to do the 2 years. So that's just my comment right now at this time.
Okay. So the other note to make is that if you decide to table this until next month, then the 2 commissioners right now that have their terms up in December, as long as that recruitment is still going on and we don't have enough applicants, you are still considered active. And that will be in the next one. This is just information. You're still considered active commissioners until you are replaced or until you get reappointed. So those are the 2 options there, or unless you decide to resign and say it's effective immediately. So those are some things to consider, especially if we're going to do a vote, if you decide to table this and vote until later.
Okay, so with that being said, this is Commissioner Toya. I want to ask Joe and Commissioner Phillips if this is okay with them before I think about making a motion. That way we can have a little more time in discussing this and in the future, and that we're not rushing. I just don't like to feel rushed, and because I'm also on a time schedule right now. I work at the jail, so I have one client waiting right now.
Well, just to let you know, Commissioner Toya, this was also discussed at last month's meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. But if I may be excused, then I may need to leave then soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And this is just another comment before, if I do need to leave. I am in favor of the 2 year and the 1 year, if that helps the co-chair commissioners at this time.
Well, Commissioner Toya, before you leave, a decision needs to be made, so we know what's going on with this. Otherwise, after that, we're gonna lose quorum.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we can do that then.
Okay. Does anybody have a motion?
I think
Thought-
Toya had a motion.
Yeah.
Commissioner Toya?
She's proposing a motion based upon our decision. Am I correct on that, Commissioner Toya? Okay, yes.
Yes.
I
So,
need the motion to be made. Yeah, just to make it clear.
Sure. So I will, as Commissioner Toya, make the motion that the co-chair serve a 2-year term and the next in line co-chair will serve a 1-year term. And if availability to allow some shadowing.
Okay, so you're asking a current chair to stay 2 years and then the next one be 1 year? Because that's what it sounded like. Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm sorry too. It was from the original original request that I believe Cora had, Commissioner Phillips
So
had
you're,
stated.
so just to make it clear, this motion is, I'm sorry, I'm just interjecting right now because I'm trying to respect your time. So this motion has to do with just the seats. And your motion is to make one seat 1 year and make the other seat 2 years.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a
And
second? Is there a second to the motion?
This is Commissioner Marks. I can second that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that motion carries. And
So,
do we now want to table the election to the next meeting, or what is the pleasure of the commission?
So I think there's an idling question from Rose that came about earlier. And that is in lieu of what's currently in place with you and I as co-chairs.
Yes.
Do we want to do I think the idling question is, should there be like an outright resignation from either you or myself? Or do we want to continue on until something else comes about? And I forgot what she said.
No, that doesn't have anything to do with the co-chairs.
Okay, then I misunderstood then. Okay, all right.
But in my mind, to kind of clarify it as to what I would be willing to do, I have no problems if, like, my 2 terms, that one, we were kind of keeping them as one term, even though that wasn't official. And so I've served 2 terms. I have no problems with not being an officer in the next year. And on the other hand, too, if for some reason, for continuity or other reason, someone wanted me to stay, I'm not opposed to that either. I do, my term is ending at the end of this year, and I do intend to reapply as a commissioner. So that's my situation.
Co-chair Washington, your term ends in 2023.
Oh,
not
I
this year.
misunderstood. I misunderstood. Okay,
Oh.
so
Yeah, I
No,
misread
next
that as
December.
well, because it says
Is
the
it-
co-chairs to start their term January 23.
So is it my term then that's ending in December, or does mine end in 2023 as well?
Yours and Commissioner Weathersby's terms as commissioners are ending this month.
Okay, All right, so my intentions are to reapply as well.
Okay, great. Great, great, great. That makes me so happy. But apply as soon as possible.
Okay. All right, will do.
And then the same for Commissioner Weathersby. We'd love to have you back.
Yes, I agree.
I right now I am I know I'm going to be doing the video to encourage folks to be part of our commissions. I thoroughly enjoy being part of the commission, and you know I'm okay with being on the commission, but I also think that it's important that community members, if they were interested, that they also be part of the opportunity to represent on the commission. And so I just want to also be mindful of our community members, that if there is that interest, that they have that opportunity to participate and serve the community in meaningful ways. So I'll be doing a video on this 15th of this month, encouraging folks to get involved in the commissions here in City of Flagstaff. But if we do not have any applicants, I will continue to serve in the best way that I can.
Sounds awesome.
Good.
All right.
Okay, so back to C, do you want to go ahead and table that till next month? But in the meantime, Commissioner Weathersby and Co-Chair Phillips, you are still active members until such time the City Council decides to appoint members.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to, or can I just do that, table it, or do we need a motion to table it?
You need a motion to table it to next month.
Is there a motion to table nominations and elections of commission co-chairs to next month?
I will make a motion to table for the nomination process.
All right, I will second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. And I think we need to wrap up at this point. So,
Co-chair, can I
Yes.
just have a couple minutes?
okay.
I know the rest of the ones you're gonna go through real quick and stuff, but can we also just take a little bit of time next week on Tuesday? We're gonna have a farewell for the outgoing council members. And one of those council members is our council liaison, Councilman Shimoni. And I'd like to see if some of you as commissioners can be there for that send-off next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I'd really like for maybe us to represent a good turnout to support Adam as he goes and goes on his next journey to do great wonders for people. So, and I also want to thank him for being such an advocate for our people, for being such an advocate for this commission, and just he's done so much and hasn't been, and you know, when things come to shove, he's always advocating for Indigenous people. And I just want to say thank you so much, Adam, for that. I consider you a relative, and I really thank you for that from my heart, and include you in my circle of kinship. And if you have other things you need to say to Adam, I would like for you to do that, commissioners.
I agree
Oh my gosh, Rose, you're
wholeheartedly.
gonna make me cry. Thank you, Rose. And yeah, bring your families, bring your friends of your friends. I expect everyone to be there. No, I'm just kidding. No pressure at all, but that's so sweet, Rose. And it's been such a great time working with you all, and I'm so humbled by you all, and it's been a great opportunity. Yeah, thank you, Rose.
Welcome.
Yes, Councilmember Shimoni, yes, we are very indebted to you for your advocacy and your constant attention, and we feel very indebted and appreciative of all your work. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. And
One more
Oh,
thing.
okay, all right.
That's just a message. I mean, just a note, a huge note. The Thorpe Park Annex parcel was approved last night with the final concept with a couple of changes, and that was approved by council to move forward. And the Indigenous Commission, the Indigenous Community Cultural Center is a part of that package, and it was approved 7-0.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
Johnny, yeah.
Councilman Shimoni, I'm sure you had a lot to do with it. And I want to also acknowledge you as the good relative, as the good brother. And I hope that you will not leave us in the dust and leave Flagstaff. You stay around and you continue to help us.
I'll be here. I'll be showing up at your commission meetings too, so you're not gonna miss me that much.
Okay,
Nice.
great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, you can adjourn now.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
And is 1:32.
Thank you all.
Bye, Adam.
Thank you,
See
Rose. That was so sweet.
You're
Trying to make me
welcome.
cry.
I want to see you cry.